Will I?
All right, welcome to the October 22nd, 2024 meeting of the University of Rhode Island Board of Trustees Governance Committee. The meeting is being held in person with some committee members participating remotely. At this time, I'll conduct a roll call attendance to determine if a quorum is present. Please clearly respond present via WebEx or present in person when your name is called. I am Courtney Nicolato and I am present via WebEx. Vice Chair Jay Placencia.
Present via WebEx.
The Honorable Charles Fogarty.
Present via WebEx.
Monica Garnes.
Present via WebEx.
Matthew Lenz.
Present via WebEx.
Joseph Matthews.
Present via WebEx.
Robert Wagan. David Caprio. And President Mark Perlange.
Present via WebEx.
A quorum is present, and also in attendance, we have Board Vice Chair Armand Sabatoni. A reminder to all members for the benefit of our audience and for the note taker, please clearly identify yourself whenever you comment, make a motion, or a second to a motion. Participants using WebEx are required to keep their cameras on. As remote members and all persons present at the meeting location must be clearly audible and visible to each other. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge that the University of Rhode Island occupies the traditional stomping ground of the Narragansett Nation and the Niantic people. Are there any proposed amendments to the published agenda? All right, hearing none. First order of the business is approval of the minutes. May I have a motion that the committee approve the minutes of the September 18th, 2024 meeting?
So move, Jay Placencia.
Thank you, Jay. May I have a second?
Monica Garnes, second.
Thank you, Monica. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion to approve the minutes for the September 18th, 2024 meeting is approved. The next item on the agenda is item number 2, discussion items. 2A is to review the criteria for board members and recommend candidates to fill vacancy in trustees positions. What we wanted to do during our time together here, as everyone knows, the decision of new trustees or returning trustees is that of the governors. Each year, we do provide an update to the governor on the various activities of the board, the various needs of the board. We take into account the board composition, which we'll pull up in a second, to identify any areas of growth or opportunities for board members. And then we also have a nomination form that will go out to the entire board and leadership team at URI to identify any potential opportunities for consideration of the governors for new board members. We do have a number of board members up for renewal this year. And of course, I have that list, but not right in front of me. Let me pull it up. Sorry, folks. Okay. Got it. Where'd it go? Michelle, I know you sent me the grid of individuals that are up for renewal.
I did. Did you want me to just verbally
That would
read
be
them
great.
real quick?
Thank you.
Sure. We have Maria Duchamp, Neil Kerwin, Matt Lenz, Robbie Luna, David Moderano, Jay Placencia.
Great. So their current term is up and will be up in February of 2025. So that will be a conversation that we'll have with the governor. But what we wanted to do today, as before we send the nomination form out to the Board of Trustees and leadership, is to look at our board composition document and the results of our board composition, identify any areas of opportunity that we believe could be supportive or beneficial to any new consideration of board of trustees. One of the things that we talked about at our last meeting, just as a recap, that one I saw for sure, we did discuss our demographics and areas of improvement, encouraging the selection of trustees of color and Native Americans, Indigenous persons. Trustee Garnes echoed the desire to promote diversity in multiple areas, including diversity of age. We talked about the framework by another board, actually, and learning from another board around limiting specific categories of individuals to help really force the creation of diversity. So those were things that we talked about at the last meeting, but Michelle, will you pull up our results from our board composition?
Yes.
And if you would go to the areas of the skill sets area. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Up, back up. We'll go to expertise first. And go one more, I think. Thank you. And so we have two areas of the board composition, which was expertise areas and skill sets. And so I wanted just a reminder to folks, these were our top 4 areas of expertise. And if you go to the next slide, these were our bottom 4 areas of expertise. And so I want to stop here and just check with the group and get any ideas from the group. Are these areas that you believe we are lacking? Or is there any additional areas that we should be thinking about when considering folks that we might want to put forward for consideration?
Courtney, when you talk about international, are we talking about, what does that entail?
Well, this is a self-attestation. So this is folks to identify whether they believe they have international experience. It could be, to your point, Charlie, a vast array, right?
So it's okay. So it's not international people who may be affiliated with URI. It's experience internationally. So,
Yep.
Okay, because I was wondering that's kind of interesting. Are there any notable international URI grads who could bring a great, some interesting attention to the board that we might know? I don't know.
And to your point, I think the more we are doing the work in research and expanding research, I think folks who have international global experience would be helpful, right? Anything else that rises to the top for folks?
Hi, Madam Chair, Monica Garnes. I just would think about technology, Courtney, when I think about that, just the importance of, making sure we have state-of-the-art technology access for our students as they prepare, for the next step could be a potential area that, we can lean into finding some folks with that expertise.
Agreed. Thank you, Monica. Anyone else? Both great perspectives. All right, let's go to the skill set area. Just as a reminder, the top areas were executive leadership, budgeting, and strategic planning. I think a lot of us, many of us have these experiences. And to Monica's point, the bottom was information technology and legal. And so sounds like similar. Any thoughts on the legal side? Because it does come up as bottom for both expertise and skill sets.
I felt like we had more lawyers on this board.
Thanks, Matt. Any other thoughts? Okay. Yeah, and you're right. Could be some the way that it's been self-attested. All right. So just as a reminder to folks, here's what's going to happen from here is that the nomination form, again, these are recommendations, nominations. The governor's decision is the decision. of board members, but we will be reaching out to folks who are set to renew to see if there is interest in continuing on. That activity is done by Margot and I, and will be done over the course of the next few weeks. We'll put in all the various activities and work that the board's been doing, and specifically the names that are folks that are interested in renewing. At the same time, after the November 8th board meeting, we will be sending out a form to board members as well as our leadership team at URI for any recommendations of folks. We are going to list out these areas specifically that we noted last meeting around demographic opportunities as well as skill sets and expertise opportunities. We did not have anyone fill out the form last year with recommendations. So we do ask that our trustees, look, you have a great network around you of folks who are committed to the university. These names are really important for us for consideration. The governor, I really appreciate the fact that he looks to us for any recommendations of potential great alums, as an example of URI, that we would want to consider. And so these recommendations really are leveraged and used. So I appreciate especially this governance committee to be at the top of the crop with regards to nominations and making sure that we're presenting a great group of folks for the governor's consideration. So that form will go out right after the November 8th meeting, and we will ask folks to complete that form. It's a very easy form. It probably takes, 5 minutes, and we'll last for a 2-week turnaround time on that form. Make sense? All right, great. Thank you so much. The other thing that, which is our item 2B, that we've talked about as a group is the opportunity to continue to grow as individuals, but also as a board around justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. We're very lucky to have Markeisha Miner, who is our head of diversity, equity, inclusion at the university. Her and I have had a chance to sit down and talk about ways that we can really continue our journey on building our, and educating ourselves and empowering and making sure that we have the resources and expertise and insights that we need as we continue to make these important decisions at the university. And so Markeisha's put a great plan together. I'm going to ask that she present that to us for our consideration. Really is something that I think diversity, equity, inclusion needs to be knitted throughout. It is not a one-time activity. It is an activity that is embedded within the DNA and fabric of our work. And I think Markeisha did a great job with this proposal. So I'll turn it over to Markeisha.
Good afternoon, everyone. Courtney, thanks for having me. It's great to be with you all. And as I said, when I met with you all in June, it's really a privilege to work with a board that is so proactive on these items, from the compositional survey that you all just discussed to this initiative in terms of thinking through how we want to build in and not bolt on the commitment to fostering an inclusive culture and being a diverse, equitable, and inclusive community into the governance work, not just as a silo or as a one-time initiative, as Courtney said, but embedded throughout all of your governance decisions and determinations and interactions with the community. So the proposal we put forth and discussed are both about training based on the survey you all took in the past, where you discussed items that you want more information on and more education and development about, but also giving the board a chance to interact with this broadly representative community about and for whom you make decisions and are the face and voice to the state and beyond. And so that could take the shape of highlighting the many experts we have on this campus, presenting our students, faculty, and staff to you to share more about their experiences, but also having a chance to interact, to have interactive sessions where you get to put into practice the things that you are learning and thinking about, and applying that to the data that we gather, both legislatively mandated data such as the annual diversity report or the annual affirmative action report, to the other luminous data you as a board receive and digest and to help inform your decision making. So just a brief summary there of what you have in the report, but happy to take questions and feedback as we shape trainings that are appropriate for a setting like this one by Zoom and that are available to the larger public and community. Courtney, you're on mute.
Thank you. So this proposal will be sent to the governance committee for consideration. Really, you know, as Markeisha mentioned, our key goals for this is how do we knit this work and embed it within the entire year, but utilizing the board retreat as an opportunity to really dig in deeper around justice, equity, diversity, inclusion. But very similarly, how I think the URI team has just done a great job of how we embed and learn about the research work happening, our leadership work, many other topics. Having folks, you know, join us at a dinner or come in and speak at a meeting, but also activities where we're really getting to know each other and growing individually as well. So that proposal will be coming your way. We'd love to get your feedback and perspective, and then we want to move quickly on the implementation of this. We're utilizing the February meeting as kind of that start for some of the activities we have outlined. But any questions for Markeisha? Joe?
Markeisha, there's nothing like the present. Can you throw a couple of opportunities to this governance committee of how we could do something? Are there upcoming activities that you'd like to see a presence? So we'll be able to be your advocates at the board.
Thank you so much, Joe. You are always such a great supporter, advocate, and ally. There are a few opportunities, including for those of you who are not here in Kingston. So, for example, the Community Equity Diversity Office, this fall, our focus has been on ideological and political diversity. I've seen some of you at the Tuesday night colloquium sponsored by our honors program. And so that's something that you can join and be a part of those conversations. And just hearing the many challenges that we are tackling from an academic and disciplinary perspective, in addition to what our faculty, students, and staff are dealing with on the ground, particularly in this country in the next couple of weeks as we prepare for an upcoming election. So we also this year in the spring are working with our chaplains and other affiliates on religious diversity. And so there will be programming that we are working through the chaplains group with to develop, and we'll invite you, those who are able to attend in person for those things. But again, your example is a gift. Your time clearly is a gift. But to have our leading governance officials participating in those conversations, attending those events, educating and informing and preparing yourselves on these really difficult issues, right? Because there is no magic bullet to diversity, equity, and inclusion work. It's hard fought, it's ongoing, it's continuing to learn with and about one another. And so we'll continue to share those opportunities with you.
Great. Thank you, Joe, for that. Any other questions or comments or thoughts? All right, so we'll get the proposal your way. We'll ask that you take a look at it, and then we will continue down this path. And I really want to thank Markeisha for your leadership on this and support and swift movement, as we have a desire to move swiftly, and we appreciate it. Okay. Item 2C is an update on the board process streamlining efforts, as we were presented last meeting from Alyssa Boss. She has done an incredible amount of work streamlining our board processes, our meetings, etc. And so I'll ask Alyssa to give us an update.
Great. Thanks, Courtney. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Great, all right. So a couple of things that were takeaways from the discussion at the last meeting. We're simplifying some of the form votes. There's a lot of sort of reading motions into the record. I had prepared form transaction votes that I have provided to Abby and her staff to use when bringing transaction votes to the Finance and Facilities Committee, and they have started using those. Those reflect the policy on approval and execution of contracts, and they allow for the board and board committees to approve the transaction, which is what the policy reflects, versus requiring that the entire fully negotiated contract be completed and attached, which allows for more ability to work around the timing of the committee and board schedule versus having to wait and often delay transactions. So I think that's been helpful. And then Michelle and Lynn also put together other routine form vote language, which they have rolled out to the committee liaisons and staff, start using going forward. Because of the closeness of the two meetings this time, I don't think everybody has gotten those yet, but I think that in the next round of meetings, you'll start to see those. And we're going to continue to look at opportunities to streamline the agendas and the votes and the minutes. And that'll be an evolving process working with Michelle and Lynn. The other thing that we were working on was the meeting calendars and the scheduling of meetings. And I had put together a proposal, which I shared with the liaisons, of a distribution of meetings based on required topics that committees have to cover, and focusing on scheduling meetings for those required topics at times when those could be done. And based on that, we will have, assuming that each of the committee liaisons did bring their committee in that direction, the proposal would have 3 committee meetings in the January, February, 4 in April, 4 in June, 4 in September, and 4 in November versus the usual. So I think that's going to be very helpful for both the committees and for the liaisons who have to prepare the materials for the committees. Michelle has been working with each of the liaisons on their staffs to get those calendars updated and ready for this round of committee meetings. And I think she's got everybody with an actual calendar change coming up for this round of committee meetings. Those that have already happened have done them, and those that are coming up have them. And let me turn it to Michelle to also talk about what she's doing on that and regular scheduled meeting date, their meetings going forward next year.
Thank you. It's been great working with the committee liaisons, and they have been working closely with the committee chairs. And based on the preferred dates that we have outlined via Alyssa's schedule, we're moving forward. One of the ideas that Alyssa had in terms of the June committee meetings, having those committee meetings the day before the board meeting is an opportunity for our committee members, board members to be here in person. So as we think about board engagement and we think of other activities that we're building and trying to get the board here in person for some of the meetings the day before, this is a good opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you, Michelle. Any questions for the team? I'll just reiterate, this is not easy. Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, no, just a comment to Michelle's earlier comment. I think as opposed to just a list of events that are happening, maybe Michelle, you were going to provide like a little bit of maybe specific reach outs to people who might be particularly interested in something. So there's a lot going on at the university, a lot. So and I will say that people do appreciate if members of the board can be present on those.
Yes, thank you, Mark. In addition to the calendar invites that you receive for the university events, I have been taking extra steps to reach out to some of the board members as it relates to some of the other interests that you have. So I will be making more of an effort to have one-on-one meetings with you to bring you up to date about what's happening here at the university and make sure that you don't miss out on these wonderful opportunities. I think Mark had highlighted, for example, the guitar festival at the last board meeting, but we have the a lot of the plays that are going on, the musicals. So there's a lot of different things that are happening, and I will continue to not only have the list and send calendar invites, but reach out to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, it's great. Thank you. All right. Any other questions?
Thank you.
And thanks to everybody. This is it's going to be a big lift. It is a lift to get this all rescheduled and kind of realigned, but it's going to go a long way to continuing to build efficiencies. So appreciate it. We are on item 3, which is our action items. 3A is the approval of amendments to the URI Board of Trustees bylaws and with a recommendation to the URI Board of Trustees. We had an update, I believe it was 2 years ago, a review of the bylaws. And so this is our next update, our next review timeline of the bylaws. This one, there was a couple of considerations made during the amendments, revisions and review. One was a proposed amendments consistent with university manual language, including appropriate titles, that type of updating. Amendments aligned with current university practices, particularly around the appointment of university officers and board members. And then also alignment with our continued evolution of the board and our best practices. And one of those topics considered and updated in the bylaws here is the presidential succession planning effort. But if you look, there were red line bylaws that were provided to you. I have had a chance to review and talk to Margot and the team, and I think those 3 kind of points were really the synopsis of the major changes. But let me open the floor. Any questions that folks have around the proposed amendments to the bylaws? All right. Hearing none, may I have a motion that the committee recommend that the board approve amendments to the URI Board of Trustees bylaws as presented in the enclosure?
Charlie Fogarty, so moved.
Thank you, Charlie. May I have a second?
Second, Jay.
Thank you, Matt and Jay. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion is approved. Item 3B is the approval of amendments to the URI Board of Trustees Governance Committee calendar and recommendation to the Board of Trustees. As a reminder, as we just talked about, we've done a lot of work streamlining the calendar. But one of the things that I've been really focused on with Michelle is how do we make sure if something happens or one of us walk away at any point in time, that we can look at this calendar, anyone can look at this calendar, have a clear understanding of what activities happen when. So we've updated this calendar to include some of those activities to make sure that they are in one centralized location, and we'll be asking our fellow committee chairs to be doing the same thing. So any questions to the governance committee calendar? Okay, hearing none, may I have a motion that the committee recommend that the board approve amendments to the committee calendar as presented?
So moved.
Monica Garn, so moved.
Thank you, Monica. I think I heard Jay. Would you second?
Yep.
Thank you, Jay. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion is approved. The next item on the agenda is item number 4, adjournment. May I have a motion to adjourn, Charlie Fogarty?
No, not yet. No. Excuse me. I make a motion that we adjourn.
Thank you, Charlie. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bob. I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. The motion to adjourn is approved. The next URI Board of Trustees Governance Committee is tentatively scheduled for February 2025. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you at the board.